Captain Ryan Hale's ship was lost in a sea of blue lightning and roaring waves. One moment he was leading a small exploration team across the outer rim of the Orion Belt, and the next, everything was gone. His crew, his ship, his beacon. When he woke up, he was lying on a beach that wasn't Earth. The sand glowed faintly under two suns, and the air tasted like metal and salt. Ryan's body ached, but his mind was clear. He checked his gear. His communicator was broken, and his wrist AI flickered weakly before shutting down. He was completely alone. Or so he thought. He didn't notice the shadows watching from the cliffs above, the sharp eyes of alien women who despised the very kind he represented. The island was vast, covered in silver trees and strange crystal-like plants. Ryan wandered for hours searching for food and water. His survival training kept him alive. He found fruit that shimmered but didn't poison him. And he built a small shelter near a waterfall. On the third day, he saw them, tall, graceful figures with blue skin and white hair move through the forest silently. They carried spears made of crystal and wore light armor that reflected the suns. When they saw Ryan, their eyes filled with disgust and rage. One of them shouted something in a language he couldn't understand. Before he could explain, they surrounded him. He tried to raise his hands to show peace. "Wait, I'm not here to fight," he said, his voice desperate. But they didn't care. A spear hit the ground near his feet. Another one grazed his arm, drawing blood. The leader of the group stepped forward. Her eyes were cold, her voice firm. Even without knowing her words, Ryan understood. "You are not welcome here." They bound him and took him to their village. The alien village was built around a huge crystal tower that pulsed with blue light. Hundreds of alien women watched as Ryan was dragged through the streets. Their faces showed fear, anger, and curiosity. He realized quickly that this was an all-female civilization. When he was thrown to the ground before their council, he heard the name of the place for the first time, Isla Virine, the island of the pure. The leader, the same woman who captured him, introduced herself in broken galactic common. "I am Sarah Vin," she said. "You human, you bring war. You bring death, your kind. Destroy." Ryan tried to explain he was just an explorer, not a soldier, but they didn't believe him. According to them, long ago, humans had attacked their world and left it in ruins. These women were survivors who had escaped and built their own hidden island, far from other races. To them, he was a symbol of their suffering. So they decided to keep him prisoner. Days turned into weeks. Ryan lived in a small cage made of vines and crystal, guarded by alien sentinels. He was given food, barely enough to survive. Sometimes the younger ones threw stones at him, calling him names he couldn't understand. Sarah watched from a distance, her expression always unreadable. But Ryan didn't give up. He began to learn their language by listening carefully. He tried to show them he wasn't like the humans they hated. He repaired broken tools using scraps, helped purify water near the river, and even saved a young alien girl from drowning after she slipped from the waterfall. That moment changed everything. The young girl's name was Lyra, and she was Sarah's younger sister. When Ryan pulled her out of the water and gave her air, Sarah saw it happen. She saw the human risk his own life to save one of them. For the first time, doubt touched her heart. Weeks became months. Ryan's kindness slowly earned him small moments of trust. The guards stopped chaining him. The children stopped throwing stones. Some of the women even began to talk to him. He learned more about their history, how their planet was bombed by humans who wanted their rare crystals, how their men had died in wars, and how the survivors had chosen isolation to protect their purity and peace. Ryan listened, and his heart broke for them. He told them stories too, stories of Earth, of oceans and forests, of people who wanted peace just as much as they did. He spoke about how humanity had changed, how wars had ended, how unity had begun to rise among the stars. Many didn't believe him, but Lyra did. And slowly, Sarah began to listen too. After 10 years, Ryan was no longer a prisoner. He had built a small house near the edge of the village. He taught the children how to read galactic symbols and repair tools. He worked alongside the villagers, helping them improve their water filters and crops. Still, he was never fully accepted. Some of the elders wanted him gone, believing his presence was a curse. But Sarah watched him closely. She couldn't deny the truth anymore. The human had changed their world in small, quiet ways. One evening, as the sun set in violet light, Sarah approached Ryan. "You stayed," she said quietly. 10 years. "No escape, why?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Because I wanted to prove that humans aren't what you think we are. We can destroy, yes, but we can also build, and maybe heal." Sarah looked at him for a long time. There was no hate in her eyes now, only uncertainty, and something else she couldn't name. Before Ryan could say more, a loud sound echoed from the sky, a deep, thunderous roar. The villagers looked up in panic. A ship was descending, black and metallic. The human symbol on its side shone bright under the suns. Ryan's heart stopped. Human explorers, finally, after 10 long years. But the aliens didn't see them as rescuers. They saw invaders. Dozens of alien warriors grabbed their weapons. Sarah turned to Ryan, her face tense. "You called them?" she asked sharply. Ryan shook his head in shock. "No, I didn't. I swear." But she didn't believe him. The sky burned as the human ship landed nearby. For the alien women, it was the return of their worst nightmare. For Ryan, it was the moment he had feared all along. The peace he had built was about to shatter. And this time, he would have to choose between the humans who abandoned him and the aliens who learned to trust him. The air trembled as the human ship landed on the far side of the island. Dust rose into the violet sky, and the crystal trees swayed with the wind. The alien women of Isla Virine stood ready with their weapons, their eyes full of anger and fear. For them, this was the day they had always dreaded, the return of humanity. Ryan stood between them, his heart heavy. He had dreamed of rescue for years, but now that it was here, it felt wrong. This was his home now. These people, once his enemies, had become his family. And yet the humans who had arrived were his kind, his blood, his people. Sarah looked at him with cold eyes. "If you lied to us, human," she said, "we will not forgive you." Ryan shook his head quickly. "I didn't send any signal. I don't even have the equipment. Please, you have to believe me." But the skyship didn't wait. Its door opened, and 5 armored humans stepped out, weapons drawn. They wore the insignia of the Terran Exploration Force, the same organization Ryan once served. The leader, a tall man with a clean uniform, scanned the area. "Captain Ryan Hale," the man called out through a speaker. "If you're alive, step forward. We've come to bring you home." Ryan froze. The sound of that voice felt like a ghost from another life. The soldiers looked around and saw the alien warriors gathering in defense. Their eyes hardened. "Targets identified. Possible hostiles," one whispered. Ryan ran forward, waving his hands. "Wait, don't shoot." "They're not enemies." But his voice was lost in the chaos. The first blast came from the human side, a flash of blue plasma that hit the ground near the crystal tower. The alien warriors shouted and fired back with their energy spears. Light and sound filled the air. The once peaceful island became a battlefield. Ryan rushed into the middle of it, shouting for both sides to stop. "Please, stop fighting." "You don't understand." But no one listened. The humans thought they were rescuing him from savages. The aliens thought they were defending their home from destroyers. Sarah led her warriors forward, fierce and fearless. "No more humans will harm us," she cried. Ryan followed her, trying to protect both sides from each other. His mind raced for a solution. He knew if this continued, blood would be spilled, and everything he had built over 10 years would be lost. He ran toward the ship, waving desperately. The human commander, Captain Briggs, saw him and frowned. "Hale, what are you doing with them? Step away from those aliens. They're not the enemy," Ryan shouted. "They saved me." "They're people, not monsters." Briggs raised his weapon. "You've been here too long. They've messed with your mind. We're taking you home even if we have to drag you." Ryan's chest tightened. He saw Sarah fighting in the distance, defending her sister Lyra. The sight broke him. He realized both sides saw the other as evil, but both were only afraid. Ryan made his choice. He ran to Sarah's side and helped shield Lyra from falling debris. "You have to trust me," he said quickly. "If this fight continues, both sides will die." Sarah looked at him, confusion and anger in her eyes. "Then stop your people." Ryan nodded and stood tall. He grabbed a piece of broken metal and waved it like a flag. "Stop, all of you," he screamed, his voice echoing over the chaos. "Stop fighting. Listen to me." For a moment, everything went still. Smoke rose from the broken trees, and the 2 suns glowed red through the haze. Ryan stepped between the 2 groups, One man against two armies. "I lived here for 10 years, he shouted. "These people are not monsters. They hate us because of what humans did in the past. But I have seen their hearts. They can forgive if we can understand." He turned to Sarah's people. "And you, I know humans hurt your world. But not all of us are the same. I'm proof of that. You've seen me live here, work here, care for your people, please. Don't let this end in blood." The silence stretched. Sarah lowered her spear slowly. Lyra's voice trembled as she spoke. "Sister, he is right. We can't let hate rule us again." On the other side, Briggs hesitated. He looked at Ryan, then at the villagers. "You've lived with them all this time?" Ryan nodded. "They kept me alive when I should have died. They taught me more about peace than any human ever did." Briggs sighed heavily and signaled to his troops. Weapons down. Hours later, the two sides met under the fading light of the suns. The villagers stood watchful but calm. The humans, still cautious, kept their distance. Ryan acted as translator, explaining everything: how the alien women had survived the human wars, how they rebuilt their world, and how they had chosen isolation to protect themselves. When he finished, there was silence. Sarah looked at the human commander. "We lost our fathers, our brothers, our sons because of humans," she said softly. "But this one human showed us that peace is still possible." Briggs removed his helmet. "Then maybe it's time we make things right." Ryan felt hope stir in his chest. For the first time in decades, there was no hatred, only understanding. Over the next few weeks, the humans helped rebuild what their weapons had damaged. They shared medicine, tools, and food. In return, the alien women taught them about their energy crystals, which could heal and power ships without pollution. Cooperation replaced conflict. Sarah and Briggs spoke often. There was still tension, but slowly a bridge formed. And Ryan, the man who had once been a prisoner, became the link between two worlds. One night, as the stars glowed across the sky, Ryan sat by the waterfall, staring at his reflection. Sarah walked over quietly. "You could leave now," she said. "Your people are ready to take you home." Ryan smiled sadly. "Home? I'm not sure what that means anymore. Earth is far away, but this island, these people, they changed me." Sarah looked at him. "You changed us too. We hated your kind for so long now. I see things differently." They sat in silence for a long time, listening to the sound of the water. The night was peaceful again, just like it had been years ago. The next morning, the human ship was ready to leave. The humans offered Ryan a place among them, promising to tell his story to the world. But Ryan looked around the village, at Lyra laughing with the human soldiers, at the children playing near the repaired crystal tower, at Sarah watching him quietly. He shook his head. "My place is here. Someone has to make sure this peace lasts." Briggs nodded with respect. "Then you'll be remembered as a bridge between our species." Ryan smiled. "Not a bridge, just a man who learned that understanding is stronger than hate." As the ship rose into the sky and disappeared beyond the clouds, the sun shone brighter on Isla Virine. The war that could have destroyed them all had instead brought something new: unity. Sarah walked to Ryan's side. "You are one of us now," she said softly. "No longer human alone." Ryan looked at the horizon. Maybe being human means learning to belong everywhere. And for the first time in his life, he felt truly free. The island that once hated him had become his home, and the people who once feared him had become his family. Humanity, he thought, had not come to conquer this place. It had come to change and be changed.